Are you ready to find out how to hire different people depending on the level and where you're at in your business? In this video, I'm going to dive through the 4 most common hires that you're probably considering yourself as a business owner, and essentially what are the things to look for, how to approach this position, and also who they are and how they can work with you. And this is coming from someone who has grown her business over and over again in the last 5 years of running 2XU, my executive assistant agency, and also as someone who has co-managed different businesses before. Before all of that though, I want to make sure that you guys understand the concept of knowing what to delegate and what not to delegate, especially as a business owner, because I've seen this over and over again where people usually just delegate the things that are painful to them, but they don't keep in mind that a lot of the times when you're delegating the thing that's the most painful, it might be something that you need to work through and something that you can make easier for the next person. What I mean by this is I've seen so many people delegate their sales, for example, to someone else because they don't like doing sales calls or X, Y, and Z, whatever it was. And in the long run, this hurts the company because you delegated something that was important, essential, that only at this point you can do to someone else. So how you figure this out is you want to write down the list of tasks, the outcomes, responsibilities that you're doing at the moment, and you kind of want to put it in a quadrant. So for example, the Eisenhower matrix, where you have the urgent, important, important, not urgent, not important but urgent, or the not important and not urgent. For this diagram, we're going to go through what makes you money and what are things that you are good at. So basically, you want to look at the tasks that make you money and you are good at, or is essential basically that you're the one to get it done. And that's basically the column that you should never delegate. For example, for me at 2XU, I'm still not delegating sales calls just because every single call that I hop into is a little bit more customized for that client, and I haven't yet found a way to make that a little bit more streamlined without me being on that call. So that makes us money, and that is a skill that I have developed and I have worked on. Now, the second column are things that make you money, but either that you're not the key essential skill person here basically, or that it can be done by someone else. Really good examples of that is, before I hop on a sales call with someone, my assistant already goes ahead and researches that person, and afterwards she's the one to send them the report. These are things that still make us money because it's qualifying leads and as well as following up with them after, but it doesn't have to necessarily be me. Now, the third category are tasks that don't really make you a lot of money and you're really good at. And these are usually tasks that you can automate and delegate right away. So it could be, for example, for me, I was really good at editing my own videos, but I didn't have to be the one really doing them. Plus, it wasn't really making direct money right away or direct ROI. You guys watch these videos. I probably recorded this months ago and you're only seeing this now. So for that category, these are things that you want to just automatically automate and delegate to someone else. You can have Bing.com or create an AI assistant to be able to support that, but that's essentially what that column is. Now, the last one are tasks that don't really make you a lot of money and you don't really enjoy, or you don't have the expertise. That might be something that could be either delete or boxed up for later if that is an idea that you want to go back to later. Now, with that in mind, the first type of person or the first level of hiring are people who are your ditch diggers or your doers. Now, ditch diggers is just a very visual term that I can think of when it comes to that. They're basically the people on the ground getting the work done. So these are people doing your data entry. These are people doing your, customer service responding. These are people who are basically have a set of tasks. They have the clear outcomes. They have templates that they can use. They don't really need a lot of watching to do because it's very straightforward, repetitive tasks. We know how the results are because there's already a system in place. Now, this is usually from your category 3. These are the things that you like doing but don't necessarily make you money. These are the things that are kind of more for running the business rather than growing the business kind of tasks. Most of these people are going to be task oriented. They have strong work ethic, they are reliable, and of course can easily follow instructions. These are probably a little bit of your entry level kind of people if you don't need a lot of experience for different kinds of tasks, and you can hire them usually through job boards, through different agencies, and you want to prioritize giving them practical assessments to make sure that they fit what it is you need or not. So as a really good example, when I used to run a book publishing company, these were basically our book editors. These were the people who went through each single part of our books within the company to make sure that they're really good, of course, grammar and spelling wise. and as well as checking plot-wise if the book makes sense, if it was a fiction book, if it was a non-fiction book, also checking references. Now, on the same level as the ditch diggers are your brain surgeons. These are basically people who are specialists. They are hired for a specific thing that needs to get done in your business. These are your programmers. These are your graphic artists. These are your specific video editors. These are people who have honed in their skill and they're really good at this, and they are basically just focused on a specific outcome. And of course, as a perfect example, I have my amazing video editor doing this. He knows essentially what graphics to put in. He knows what kind of music to put in the background because this is something that he knows to do. And I'm putting these people kind of on the same level as the diggers, mostly because these are people who are just still a little bit outcome and task based. They're still getting a lot of things done within your business. These ones, I always recommend that you get them through referrals. So if you're trying to find a specific person that has a specific set of skills, you want to find them through either from asking for referrals on a LinkedIn group or Facebook group, or it could be someone that you kind of already know, or if you're really going to hire them right off the bat, it basically has to be someone who can prove that they can do the thing that you need to get done. So they will have a portfolio, they would have proof basically that they have done this kind of work before. They could be sending you or showing you where you can ask for referrals or recommendations based on who they worked with before. Next are basically your managers or your leader of the doers. These people, instead of doing the work, they're managing and working with the people doing the work. Their main focus is really to make sure that any obstacles that this person might have is cleared up or addressed right off the bat. So it's making sure that the people who are doing the job have everything that they need to succeed. If they have any problems, the managers are the first ones that they would go to. As a really good example within 2XU, we have what we call our captains or our REA, REA Success Managers, or Remote Executive Assistant Success Managers, who are basically working directly with our EAs. So then they can address issues, they can give them training as they need to, they can give them coaching as they need to, whatever that actually looks like, their managers are there to support them. And typically they're very high on soft skills rather than hard skills. So they have the leadership and communication skills. They have, of course, strong problem solving skills. And like I mentioned, when you're hiring for this position, you focus more on their soft skills rather than the hard skills of a doer or a specialist, because your managers are supporting them. They're making sure that they, again, have everything that they need to be able to get the work done, to be able to succeed. And finally, and this person kind of is not really on anyone's level, because these are now your executive assistants or your one executive assistant. Now, your managers support people basically who are doing the work. Now, executive assistants are managing you, managing the executives, managing the managers to make sure that they have the support that they need. Now, I want to talk specifically about an executive assistant for you as the business owner and the effect of that. Now, for an executive assistant, they're managing the person, not just the outcome. A manager manages both the person and the outcome, but for an EA, they're really managing more the person, making sure that they have what they need, whatever it is that they're working on. And of course, I always highlight my amazing assistant, Honey, who does this really well for me. So as a really good example, when it comes to creating these videos on YouTube, I usually like to have a theme. So even before I start the month, she will have a list of ideas for me to go through, to evaluate, to assess, to pick which ones I want to do for that month, and then help me research through SEO on YouTube or whatever that looks like. She supports me because that's currently where my goal and my focus is. For you as the business owner, you might focus like, hey, I want someone who is a little bit my ditch digger EA. But to be honest, an EA helps free you up from the things that you shouldn't be doing. That yes, they might be taking some of the tasks that should be given to a doer, but the point of this is they take things away from you so they can systematize this, make this, make the assets, the templates, everything else, and then they delegate it to someone else. So another really good example is before I hired our first ever client success manager into XU, it was between me and my assistant doing all of the client management work, from sales to onboarding to, of course, the ongoing management of them. Now, I'm just focusing on the sales part. Now, I might be involved a little bit in recruiting, but everything else. But that meant that once we hired our very amazing client success manager into XU, my assistant was actually the one to train him, because she already knew the tasks that I was doing before I hired her, all the things that needed to get done before I hired her. And then she was able to make sure that when it was being delegated or given to this client success manager, that he also understood how the processes were, where the templates were, where all of the assets were, basically, to make sure that he succeeds in what it is that he does. It's been a year later since we hired our client success manager, and so far he's been doing amazing. And I credit a lot of that to my assistant training him, because again, that is the effect of having an executive assistant, is not only is your time freed up, you can start creating the system, so not everything is in your head, which I know is something that we all experience as business owners, is we tend to have our systems and tasks stuck in our head. That's why we feel like we can't be truly free from the tasks that should be delegated to someone else. Now, when you're looking at your quadrant, is the tasks that make you money and the tasks that don't really have to be necessarily you, is usually where your executive assistant can shine, because these are things that are a little bit more repetitive, a little bit more systematized, but they still affect a lot of things in the business, where having someone who understands how you think, how you decide things, how you communicate things is going to be an essential thing, which is why at 2XC we call them your second brain. And if you guys do want to explore a little bit more into that, feel free to book a call with me below. But essentially, hiring at this level, your executive assistant could be someone that you hire first. That's definitely what I did. Or it could be someone that, as you already have someone who's a doer, who you've delegated a few of the things with, you then have your executive assistant kind of be that person to help systematize and get things up and running with you and that other person. So as a really good example as well, one of the first people that I hired technically for 2XC was someone to take care of our social media, because that was one of the things that I was creating a ton of content every single week. And then when I hired that person, my assistant basically helped me work with the social media expert, so then we would be able to get more things done as well on our end. So it's kind of one of the ways you can think of how to leverage one level to the other, of if you're hiring someone who's more of your doer, hiring someone who's more of your specialist, your manager, and your executive assistant. That's basically how they all can come into play. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below if you have any questions about hiring different people on different levels. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home with AI, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.